Shows like this are made possible by my first executive producer Jade the Blue RDM over on my Patreon. And if you want to join Jade and help to support the show financially, then check out my Patreon either in the card now or in the description down below to find out how you can help. Of course, if you want to support me by just watching my content, then be sure to click that little bell icon so you're notified when I upload new videos. Thank you so much for this little PSA, and on with the review. Greetings, my name is This is the Watchful Pony, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Watchful Watchings. And yes, I know I said I was going to do Shadowplay for my next review, but actually, considering I'm getting ready for two cons one after the other, I needed something a little more easier to get out of the way. Something short, sweet, maybe comedic, and maybe something out of my comfort zone. And then I found something on Netflix. It's a little anime you may or may not have heard of. It's called Aggretsuko. Who am I kidding? If you're watching this, then you're on the internet. You already know what the hell this is. This anime has exploded with memes and love affair on almost every degree. So obviously when I sat down with this, whether I liked it or not, there was a certain level of expectation for this anime. Did it meet that? Well, let me put it to you this way, I can definitely see why people fell in love with this anime. Hell, I'm no exception. While it's not one of my favorite animes of all time, hell, actually you'll probably figure out what those are whenever I do a month of anime. I do still really enjoy it and really like it, and I can see why people fell in love with it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To find out why people love it so much, we gotta look a little deeper. What's Aggretsuko actually about? The show follows Retsuko, a red panda woman stuck in a dead-end job working for a horrible boss, just trying to survive the day to her next paycheck and finding salvation in heavy metal karaoke. Now just from that alone, you can probably already guess that this is in fact a comedy, and yes, it is mostly a comedy. However, what I wasn't expecting, much like BoJack Horseman, was them sneaking in a lot of dramatic and very relatable situations in this. However, unlike BoJack Horseman, which I'm almost certain is a drama disguised as a comedy, Aggretsuko is still a comedy and it knows it's a comedy. But the show still takes time to have very relatable, very situational areas that you would probably have, relating to your struggles you've probably had in the workforce, with love, or with anything else, and probably relating to you by showing the several different kinds of people you've probably had to work with. And the anime gets very real at times and tackles some very great topics, like trying to marry to get into financial stability is not the answer, something that still happens to this very day. And without spoiling too much, there actually is a great moral later in the season about how you shouldn't let rose-tinted love glasses cloud your judgment of horrible problems with a relationship. However, while the story is pretty good, there's one major thing that makes this truly great, and it actually not only adds to the comedy but to the relatability as well, and that is the characters. I absolutely adore these characters because of how relatable and real life they feel. All these characters feel like people you've actually probably met in real life. Starting with Retsuko, who, as I said, is the overworked, underappreciated person in her office, and despite that goes through the day with a grin and a happy smile, finding solace in what she truly enjoys to get off all of her stress at the end of the day. And I think she's easily the most relatable character in the entire show. Let's not kid ourselves, I think we've all related to Retsuko in one way or another at one point in our life. I think we all at some point or another in our lives been beaten down, talked down to by a boss, a superior, or somebody else, kept our nose to the grind, kept a happy grin even though nothing wasn't happy, and we all have that thing that helps us relieve stress at the end of the day. And because of that, I can see Retsuko being easily the most relatable character in the whole show. She's easily one of my favorites. But it doesn't stop there. There's also Hayden, who's Retsuko's co-worker, who has a major crush on her. Again, I think we've all had a crush on someone at one point in our lives. And again, without giving too much, I think we all relate to crushing disappointment at one point. Heck, even some of the one-off and side characters are incredibly memorable. One of my favorites being the yoga instructor, this camel-looking thing who says nothing but protein. I'm not even joking. He just says protein. That's the joke, and it never stops being funny. And yet he somehow ends up being just as interesting as the main characters. Heck, there's characters you're probably gonna end up hating and think they're one-dimensional, and yet they end up being incredibly interesting. Tawn, the literal personification of the pig boss, is one of them. And of course, let's not forget the meme-tastic fox herself, Beneko, who I swear to God is just Sapphire Heartsong as a fox.
God, you're such a troll!
Okay, joking aside, she is actually my second favorite character in the whole show. The only other thing you might notice from these clips is the art style, which is very unique. In fact, it may actually look familiar to a lot of you, and that's because you're probably familiar with Hello Kitty. It's made by the same company. And if you're familiar with it, then there would be one hell of a jump to go from Hello Kitty to this. Although while the art style is nice, the animation itself is rather stilted. That's one of my very few, very small criticisms with the show, but honestly I don't really mind it. Because this was made in Flash, and while the company's art style is kind of using simplistic shapes, and that is basically Flash's bread and butter, taking shapes and moving them around simplistically and effectively. And honestly, the comedy isn't really derived from the animation in visual gags. Don't get me wrong, there are some there, but they're kept very simplistic, with the only exception being the death metal animation, which is made to be hyperly stylized. Now, a lot of the comedy comes from the characters, and since the characters are very relatable and great characters, you end up laughing a lot more often than not. And since Aggretsuko is first and foremost a comedy, that is a good thing. Which is the very last thing I could compliment about this show is the comedy itself. I laughed a lot during this, which is part of the reason why I'm having a hard time saying anything else about this show. It's hard to critique a comedy without saying this is funny and this works. Sure, I could go into the intricacies of the inflections, which, by the way, yeah, that is another thing I will compliment about this show, is that the American dub is probably one of the best American dubs for an anime I've seen in a long time. But if I have to explain the joke, I would just be ruining it for everyone else who hasn't seen it yet. So I'll just say that most of the jokes are in fact character driven, but there's still a wide variety of jokes, so you'll probably find at least some that'll make you laugh. Heck, the show even managed to throw in a couple fourth wall meta jokes, which I wasn't expecting at all. But probably the best recommendation I can give this anime is that it's the length of a movie. I'm not even joking, it's only 2.5 hours for the whole series. Each episode's only about 10 to 15 minutes long and there's 10 episodes. So unless you don't have Netflix, you pretty much have no excuse to not check this show out. And I hope to God we get a second season so we can learn a lot more about these characters. So final thoughts are, what more do I have to say to convince you? Go watch this anime, it's an absolute blast and you will laugh your butt off. I'm gonna give Aggretsuko a 9.5 out of 10. If you've ever worked a day in your life, I'm almost certain you're gonna get a kick out of it. And next time guys, it's time for a Patreon sponsored video where I'm gonna be doing a video all about Dr. Wolf. I won't spoil what it is, but keep an eye out. But until next time guys, I'm the Watchful Pony and this is why I brony. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out all the links down below for any and all social media I'm a part of, and also for my Patreon so you can find out how to support the show financially. Of course, if you want some more Aggretsuko fix, then go ahead and check the link down below or the end card for my good friend Spirit Productions video all about the art style of Aggretsuko. So he goes way more in depth than I ever could regarding the art styles, so if you like that kind of stuff, go check it out. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys next time.